Welcome to the Lights Out Podcast. This is Chris Lights Out Lytle, and this is our journey to document the history of mixed martial arts. I have brought with me my friend, the MMA detective Mike Davis, and together we will preserve the history and hear some great stories from the world in the era of the no-holds-barred. Thank you and enjoy.
Welcome back to the Lights Out MMA History Podcast. I am Joey Venti. I'm with the host of the show, the MMA detective Mike Davis. Our guest today is a good one. He's a veteran of extreme fighting, super brawl, pancrase, and the UFC. He's fought an Olympic gold medalist, multiple world champions, and he has a win over an all-time great. He is John the Machine Lober. John, thanks for taking the time.
Thanks, I guess, for being interested in fighting.
John, we've had a lot of difficult interviews, like to track down, like to really track down. You're up there. You're in that category, man. Have you kind of intentionally removed yourself from the spotlight or from the public eye?
Yeah, I mean, it's not something I wanted to do for a career for the rest of my life. So it just, I hit it hard and then I got out.
Okay. Let's start from your beginnings. Ken Gabrielson is who I've tracked you down to being your start. Was there somebody before him?
Kenny taught me jiu-jitsu, and he was a very good instructor.
How did you guys meet?
We met through a mutual friend.
Okay. And like in terms of jiu-jitsu, where was his skill level at the beginning? Because this is like, we're talking what, 93, 94?
Yeah, like 94, 95, I think.
So where did his information come from?
Well, he learned jiu-jitsu from Rodrigo Gracie. Like Halson was Rodrigo's dad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like in Corona Del Mar, I think.
So was he like a Joe Moriera student as well then?
I don't really know. I know that they all know each other.
Okay.
They all knew each other, you know.
Yeah, because like your entry into the world of mixed martial arts, like you were much more advanced than I'd say about 90% of the country, if not higher, in the combat sports world.
Yeah, at the time.
So how long did you train for before you took your first fight?
Well, it's not like I was training for fighting. You know, I was just like, I did all kinds of like karate and boxing and football, and I played all those sports all the time since I was 8. So it was like, so fighting was really easy. I mean, we were fighting all the time anyways. So it was just really easy.
Was it an easy transition for you? Okay.
Yeah, I think I was doing jiu-jitsu though for like 6 months.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah, before I fought in Kiev.
Well, that's an interesting, like, so March 30th, 1996, it's your first fight.
That's a crazy debut. Go to Kiev?
Yeah.
And let's not like put this, let's kind of like set the table, right? This is where the first death in mixed martial arts took place. Like this.
That's right.
They were trying to replicate what the UFC was doing.
How did you connect with them?
I just got a phone call. I did a bunch of videos and stuff and got a phone call. And I was like, yeah, I'm available. So I went there with 10 days notice.
Yeah, Eric Heberstreit was your first opponent. Kind of a controversial event at the time as well. This is the event where was Art Davey involved in this?
Uh-oh.
Who was your opponent? Was it Buddy Albin?
Yeah, he promoted it.
This was like one of those controversial events where like Buddy Albin burnt ties with the UFC. There was a lot of falling out. In some of our other interviews on the early SCG guys, they believed Art Davie was a part of this. This was kind of his departure, beginning of his departure working for them.
Yeah.
There was also some mafia ties, mafia issues in regards to the footage. What do you recall about the event?
I didn't know any of that stuff. I was just, I got other things going on. I wasn't really thinking there, the veil wasn't lifted over my eyes, all that with all that stuff at the time. That's why it was so good.
Just there to fight.
Yeah. I was like, which guy do you want me to fight? Let's go. Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do it. You're going to pay me cash? All right. Boom.
Didn't they have to paint over a logo on the mat like the morning of, like the UFC logo as well?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, fuck, it looked like the UFC logo. I think they painted out the words or something on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I fought in like 5 different leagues. I didn't just fight in that league.
Right. Yeah, that's your first, but you also promoted the LA Underground Fight Series.
Well, that was the cat fighting guy did that.
Okay. Would you mind opening up on that? I honestly am completely clueless in regards to the history behind that event.
What have you heard?
I heard it was you guys set up a ring in a like a parking lot or even like in a warehouse, and it was invite only, and pretty big names would show up. Sometimes they fought, sometimes they didn't.
Did you ever see the video?
I have not, dude.
Oh yeah, see, come on. I can't explain that. That was beyond that shit that was going on, those club rubbers and the underground rave parties.
Yeah.
It was bigger than that at one point.
Were they fighting in a ring or a cage or on the floor?
Yeah, I'd run a cage.
Okay.
From Kaja?
No, there was a bunch of guys that were like, they had cages, but the IFC guy had the best cage. And he'd run it to me for $1,000.
Set up, tear down. I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer. Yeah. Kind of a no-brainer.
And then like Fox Files did some production, but I do most of my own production. And they set up lighting and stuff like that.
Did you guys have issues with the cops at any of these?
Every single time. It's kind of hard to put on fight parties when there's undercover cops fighting in the parties. They're just telling on the state with everything I did. So
would you be arrested at these things, or would you guys just say we're shooting a movie?
Yeah, it's just only a movie. There's nothing they could do about it. They just come with all the sheriffs, like the whole brigade,
What a waste of time. Waste of time for them.
Well, everybody was greedy for money. They thought I was making a ton of money, and so they try to shut me down, and then like someone else would put on a show, and then nothing would happen, like Kaja and Ryan.
Yeah, they got away with it for a long time in San Pedro.
Yeah, they were going to all the state meetings.
Maybe donating to a couple of campaigns.
I don't know. He still goes to these state meetings. Like he's still posting about it. I don't know if you follow him on social media.
This is stuff that was like so much drama. It's like whatever. But I mean, my career, I fought 5 title fights. What was it, like 12 months?
Dude, I got it all. It's fucking insane. I don't think when you talk about like the current state of mixed martial arts, like what you participated in and kind of the path you walked, I don't think many people can kind of wrap their heads around it because it's so different. It's so different. It's unorthodox, and it's a different era. But before we get to that, you were also featured in When We Were Bouncers, the book by Paul Lazenby. how was that like how you made most of your money to support your fighting?
I was not a good bouncer. Everybody wanted to fight me. So I retired from that.
Okay. When we interviewed Pat Miletich, he said that one time he answered the door with you knocking on it and you challenged him to a fight. Is that true?
Well, he's missing. No, it wasn't quite like that. I didn't challenge him. He surrounded me with all of his boys, and I think I had to bite one of them.
Would you mind letting our audience know how this started?
Well, fucking, they set us up. That's what happened.
Okay.
You know,
Who's we? You and who?
I think my training partner Earl fought Pat, and that's a pretty good fight. But he didn't tell me that like we're gonna be with like 14,000 of his hillbilly crazy fan friends. It was a very hostile work environment.
Okay, so this was in Iowa.
Yeah. So I mean, I didn't think that was cool.
Okay. And you got surrounded. It escalated.
Yeah. Someone got a little too feisty there, so I had to shut him down. Pat was egging him on, and I'm like, dude, just like, so I put my fists up. I'm like, fuck, I'll fight all of them, and then they just turned and walked away. And I'm like, all right, well, and I don't know what happened with me and Pat, but he ended up coming around. You know, we were not violent towards each other, but Pat was always trying to better himself, I think.
Okay.
And he was just looking for an opportunity. I think everyone, once I got on TV, everyone kind of, I mean, Kenny told me I was a huge target as soon as I fought Igor on TV, on television, on pay-per-view or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was a huge target. And that was just one incident of like daily events with shit like that. It was exhausting, you know.
But you got on everybody's radar pretty quick. Like in a very short period of time, the entire community knew who John Lober was. So in March, you're in Ukraine, which is an insane debut by anybody's standards. You win by rear naked choke. Your second fight is at the IFC 2, Jamie Faucett, August 23rd, 1996. Do you remember how you won this fight?
Yeah, Red showed me a footlock and I used it on him.
So footlocks became popular after Dean Lister won the Abu Dhabi.
In the early 2000s.
In the early 2000s.
So like 8 years later.
Yeah, 8 years later, Dean Lister's winning the ADCC was something this guy pulls off in 96. And this was kind of like the jiu-jitsu community would look at this as garbage jiu-jitsu. They never respected the footlock game because it wasn't taught and it wasn't practiced in a lot of the tournaments.
Yeah.
So
yeah, a lot of the Brazilian jiu-jitsu thought it was cheating.
Yeah.
So how are you so accustomed to like the foot game, the leg lock game at this early age?
Well, I was training with Richard Hurt.
Red Herd, legend.
Time there.
Another legend.
Yeah, we got along, and he showed me a bunch of those leg locks. He showed me the basics, and then I just thought it was cool.
Did he get it from Japan? Do you remember? Do you know where his lineage come from, or was
Gene
it
Labell, he told me.
from
I don't
Gene
know if he was
Labell?
telling me the truth, but
Judo Gene. Huh. Did you ever get to roll with him,
who?
Gene Labell?
No, he screamed at me one time.
What was that over?
Well, he was cornering Igor, and he was,
Oh, that's right.
hey, I'm the only guy to get screamed at by Gene Labell for cheap shotting somebody. Think about that.
That's pretty
That's
cool.
right. I remember that.
I'd
And
say
he's the
that.
king of the cheap shot, and he's fucking screaming at me. I'm like, what? That was hilarious.
Wasn't he yelling, watch the goddamn eyes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
He was disgusted with me for cheap shotting. I'm like, what? Fucking guy. He was
So,
such an asshole, no one would even wrestle him anymore.
so Gene Labell, obviously a legend of the game. Here. Let me just kind of put this in perspective for everybody. March 30th, 1996, you win your first fight in Ukraine. Your second, Jamie Faucett, heel hook. Motherfuckers are paying attention. They're like, wait a minute. Your third fight's Igor Zinoviev after he beat Mario Sperry.
Yeah.
So Zinoviev beats Mario Sperry, which puts him at the top, because to pretend that like Hoist Gracie could beat Mario Sperry at this point, I think you'd be a little far-fetched and kind of very forward. So you're fighting probably the number one. I shouldn't say argue it. I argue it's the number one guy in the world in Zinoviev at this point. And
how did he get number one?
He beat Mario Sperry at a point where
But what was Mario Sperry rank?
Dude, we're talking the beginning, bro.
Multiple-time world champion in jiu-jitsu.
He was a jiu-jitsu guy.
Yeah.
He was one of the better ones. He was like up there with like Carlson and Allan, you know.
I would say he's higher than Allan, and Carlson obviously is a legend, but he's in the ADCC Hall of Fame. Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
He's in the 80s. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, he beat Sperry, and that made him number one.
Right.
At this point, it's the beginning. Like, you can sit here and say Hoist, but to pretend that Hoist could beat Mario Sperry at this point, I think is...
Also, the UFC didn't even have weight divisions yet. So he was the first like middleweight champion. So that he had the belt. That's what put him at the top.
And John's had weight classes. The Extreme had weight classes. Yeah, I think Mississippi happened after that, because that's when I met John.
So you met John Perretti, which is
in Mississippi.
That was for the IFC or the IFC 2.
Yeah, the one in Mississippi.
So you meet John Perretti there. He connects you with Zinoviev, who, after Mario Sperry, very few people wanted to fight him. And you and Zinoviev go to a draw.
Yeah.
You slammed Zinoviev, and you also landed a headbutt in that fight.
Yeah. I hooked him, too, a couple times. But yeah, that's where I learned that, conditioning was a big part of mixed martial arts or fighting,
So with Zinoviev, was there any trepidation on your end about fighting him at this point?
What do you mean trepidation?
Were you concerned? Any issues? I mean, he had a pretty nice performance against Sperry. I mean, he was battling an uphill battle until Sperry ran out of gas, and he got the finish.
I'm trying to remember if I even saw that, but I think I did see that fight. But he was going to be a tough guy to fight. I knew that, and he was a tough guy to fight. He was really tough. It's hard to tell if he was tired or not. And I think I hurt him early when I stuck him in the mat. And he was tough he had tremendous heart for finishing that fight. And I gave him a lot of respect, but I don't know how much respect he deserved, but I gave him a lot of respect for that. And I would have given him a rematch, but he never asked for it. And then Frank folded him up like a manila folder, and then he spiked him too and knock him out.
Yeah, I got him with a slam. Yeah.
He just crumbled after that.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
other fight that Igor did well before that was when he fought Egan or Ensign anyway,
Ensign, yes.
Dude,
when he trundled him out from the guard.
Yep.
Remember that?
dude,
That was-
Ensign anyway, savage.
Yeah, Ensign was pretty tough. I met him one time in Honolulu. He's cool.
Yeah, I just talked to him 3 days ago. He's out on bond in Japan.
Oh, wow.
Oh, really? Would he murder somebody or something?
No, he got caught with mushrooms
Oh, man.
Oh,
twice.
They don't fuck
Yeah.
around with drugs there.
No, and yeah, he got caught. He's out on bond. He's either getting deported or he's getting 2 years in prison.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's down like 50 pounds. John, you know a thing or two about maybe sitting for a little bit of time.
yeah. Well, I'm freeing at large.
So, John, let's talk about what you're doing now, man. Let's take a little bit of a break. What are you doing now? I mean, what the world really like? Our channel really wants to know.
What?
But what the fuck, dude? You were on TV training guys, coaching guys. We had heard that you ran into a little bit of a foul with the law. Are you sober now? Are you working?
Yeah, I'm sober. I work.
Okay. How long have you been sober for?
On what? Like I haven't drank in about it's almost 2 years now, I think.
Good shit, dude.
Wow.
That's really good.
I feel better. I don't drink beer anymore, for sure.
So are you Hollywood clean? Like, do you smoke weed?
It's called California Sober.
Yeah, I don't smoke cigarettes or anything else. But I smoked weed before. I don't
Okay.
smoke weed right now because my job. But yeah, I work every day. I work 40 hours a week. Oh, I worked over 40 hours this week.
Okay.
And just you know, living life, I guess.
Okay.
I don't follow fighting. I'm not into fighting anymore. Like, I'm not into training people or giving a shit whether they fight or not or any of that bullshit. I'll watch a good boxing match,
Okay. So
you know.
I'm just going to be very direct with you in regards to this. So we have been like on the John Lober, what's he up to now type thing for a couple years. And the people that have reached out to us, Kevin McDonald, UFC Bellator PFL referee. He called me up about 3 months ago, and he said he was very careful how he chose his words. Like, he just didn't want to kind of say what was on his mind. He wanted to digest and to make sure that I understood that, you know, he says, that's the toughest motherfucker I have ever known in my entire life. He's like, in the entirety of my life of people that I've either refereed for, worked out with, there is not a single human being tougher than him. Now, wait a minute. We've also got a guy named Fred Hammer, heavily involved in the punk scene of California. It's a live magazine, fanzine. He said he's never met you, but the people that he does know are still afraid of you today or have a fear of respect, and will say that you are the toughest man that they have ever worked out with.
Okay.
So where does this come from? Like, what's your childhood like?
I had a great childhood. I played football. Football is what made me the man I am today. I'll say that. 10 years of it. Everybody I played football with went on to get college scholarships. Like, and, you know, a couple of them playing the pros. But I was too small. I only weighed like 185 pounds. I was the center.
Wow.
And those guys were all like 250 plus. But I wanted to be a firefighter, and then that didn't work out. So that's when I got into mixed martial arts, or, you know, cage fighting. I was like,
Right.
we can do something about this. We could brand it, you know, and then maybe I'll go back to the firefight, and then everybody will be a little more cooler, you know. I thought it was because, you know, they didn't really know me or whatever, but it just turns out they're just dicks all the time. So that I don't want to be part of that scene and career. And you know, I did repossessions, all kinds of stuff after that, but I want to just do the fighting, hit it real hard, real quick, get on TV, and then get out. You know, I didn't want to do like, I wasn't going to try to make $1 million doing it, and I didn't want to get surgeries after surgeries and end up getting mush brain. So
what was your introduction to mixed martial arts? I mean, your first fights in '96. Did you watch UFC 1?
no, I watched Chemo fight Royce in the third one. And a buddy of mine's like, dude, this sport would be perfect for you. I'm like, oh, yeah. All right. So, yeah, that's where it started.
Did you
Yeah, I
know
watched
Chemo?
Well, Chemo trained at the Powerhouse Gym where I was training at. And I ran into him a couple of times there. He was a specimen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, wow. Him, and then another guy I respected was Eric Paulson.
Dude,
He was
Eric
a
Paulson's
shooter
the man.
Legend.
guy. Yeah. Yeah, I got respect for Eric.
So
And,
Eric, wait, before we get too far. So Eric Paulson was like addicted to learning mixed martial arts pre-UFC 1. Did you guys cross paths before the UFC?
I don't remember exactly, but I remember he was a Dan Asano student, and Ken
Yeah.
was Paul Vunak. So, and then the other guy that was really good was Ken Shamrock. I mean, he's the lord of fighting. You know, I think Ken Shamrock should own the UFC. He should be like a guy like that. They should have respected him and done something, you know, around Ken Shamrock or Horace Gracie even. But
All right. So John, when we've interviewed Bob Meyerowitz, you know, David Isaacs, and their overall thought was Tank Abbot, incredibly marketable. Let's get behind him. Ken Shamrock, not so much. To me, it was just like Ken Shamrock was the guy that drew me in. Like Royce obviously is Royce, but I saw Ken and I'm like, holy shit, dude.
yeah. Well, they were all good in their unique way, but Ken was like a superstar.
Also new leg locks, 93 new leg locks.
Yeah, and he looks like Robert De Niro, doesn't he, kind of?
Yeah. So that early California scene, you cross paths with Chemo. Did you guys ever train together?
No. I was with some other crazy guys.
Who was your early training partners? Anybody that we would know?
My training partners, one of them, Pacholik, he's dead. He died. And well, Earl that fought Pat Miletich was my jiu-jitsu training partner.
Joey, would
My
you look that
regular
up?
guy.
Well,
Earl Locks.
What was Earl's
Yeah.
full name? Do you remember his full name?
Locks.
John? Okay.
Yeah. That guy was good. He was good at jiu-jitsu. He fought Pat for like 15 minutes.
Wow.
Not popping up.
So you meet John Perretti in Mississippi at the IFC. At the IFC 2, you end up in Extreme Fighting 3. You go with a draw. The rumor was that you and Frank Shamrock met in the lobby the following day and had a handshake deal to fight.
We did?
That's the rumor.
I don't remember that.
Okay.
TJ Thompson called me at my house.
So that's for Super Brawl 3. That's January 17th, 1997. It's in Hawaii. It's for a title. And a Zinoviev fight was also for a title. And as well as a Jamie Faucett was for a title.
Was it?
Yes, because you were the IFC champion.
Okay.
I'm assuming you don't have that belt anymore. So you're
They're in Hawaii.
2, 3. This is your 4th fight, and it's your 3rd title fight.
Yeah.
And at this point, not everybody, there's not a long history of everybody. It's just kind of like by feel, you kind of know who's who and what's what, and you kind of set the card that way. And I think you kind of gave off the aura that you really weren't there to play.
Wow. As soon as they said, what was it? They said the time limit was 30 minutes. I was like, oh, okay. But when they said headbutts were legal, that's when I knew it was serious.
Huh.
So I wasn't going out like that. Yeah.
So you fought Frank Shamrock to a split decision victory. You took a monster elbow to the jaw in that fight. You calmly spit your tooth out. What was your preparation like for Frank Shamrock?
Well, I don't remember. I think we did a lot of. Well, I did some boxing with Jesse Reed. Did you ever hear about Jesse Reed?
Of course, I've never interviewed Jesse Reed, but I obviously know who he is. Yeah.
I don't know if he's still kicking or not, but he trained Tapia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was him and just mainly jujitsu. Oh, and I was wrestling with Petrolik. He was a Division I guy. But mostly jujitsu. Yeah, I think I was training with Rodrigo Gracie at the time. He was there. He had a bad knee or something. But a lot of jujitsu at the time, because we could do jujitsu like 8 hours a day, you know. So that's what we were doing mainly. Yeah, that was about it. I didn't realize that was kind of set up too.
Well, you say setup too. Zinoviev, that's a setup. I mean, the guy's a friggin' savage. Frank Shamrock. Go ahead.
At this point, Frank Shamrock had already been the king of pancrase. So he'd already been the king over there in Japan. It was 100% a setup.
Yeah.
I'm like, if there's a cartoon character movie can be Superman, Frank's gonna play Superman. Look at that guy.
Oh yeah.
He's got abs. He looks like fucking Superman. Looks like... So, you know, that was good. That was a good fight for me because he reminded me of like this bully I used to fight in grade school. That's why I enjoyed that.
All right. There's confirm or deny. It's one of those. There's a little bit of gamesmanship in the sport of mixed martial arts right around this time, to where phone calls, pounding on hotel room doors, things of that, harassment in the lobby. Did any of that take place with Frank Shamrock?
No, the second time I tried to get in his head and it backfired because he's really strong mentally. If you piss Frank off like that, he comes back harder. Where other people, like, you can get in their head and like they'll leave the country. And you're just like, where'd he go? You know?
Okay, so there was no pounding, no crank calls, any of that for this fight.
No, not on the first fight, but the second one, because on the rematch, I gave him a rematch because I was overconfident and I didn't realize, every fight's a new fight. You know what I mean? Especially if you break your leg and shit. In between it.
Yeah.
But like, that didn't register. I didn't have a coach, But so I tried talking shit to him, and that backfired.
Okay, hey, dude, that's the fight game. I mean, that's the game. So you fight the king of pancrase, Frank Shamrock.
Well, wait. Before we leave Shamrock, I got to ask. Frank Shamrock claims that he heard your ankle snap doing a footlock and that he released it because he thought he broke your leg. Is there any truth to that? Did your ankle pop?
Did it look like it popped?
It didn't look like it slowed you down any, but with your reputation, I'm not sure it would.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. I just saw a thing where John Jones' toe was hanging on by a tendon and he didn't even realize it. They looked down, when Joe Rogan was interviewing him.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, anything's possible. Whatever. I mean, Frank's words inspire perceptions that aren't necessarily true. He gaslights a lot.
Right.
He's a con man type guy, he's one of those, I'm gonna do good for you, but I'm not really gonna,
Right.
So whatever, I mean, I'm sure he's been discredited by Dana and all that stuff.
Constantly.
So yeah, I mean, he lied about something, but they won't tell you what he lied about, and who really gives a shit? They're all just scamming everybody anyways, because I mean, they're making billions of dollars off of something that doesn't even exist. It's just a bunch of kids fighting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're caught up in that life, and dude, it takes a lot out of you. Like, it took me a long time to reclaim, like, my soul of, like, being a normal guy, waking up at the same time every day and going to work every day and then punching in, punching out, just like everybody else. Because of the mindset,
I'm sure.
Let's rewind a little bit here. You're a product of the system. You've done a little bit of time. I mean, there's no hiding that. And Frank is also a product of the system. Did you kind of see him coming from a mile away in regards to like his intentions when you guys interacted?
Frank and I are two completely different people when it comes to going to jail. He grew up in a fucking penitentiary.
Yeah.
I went to jail for like 8 months one time for beating up 17 guys. And I think I had a gun in the car and some dynamite.
Wow.
It's completely different fucking animals, dude. He's a fucking straight. No, he's not a criminal. I'm not a criminal. I didn't grow up in the penitentiary system or juvenile detention or whatever. Like Aaron Brink did that. Remember him?
Of
Oh, yeah.
course. He bonded you out for a fight.
I really appreciated Aaron's violence. Rest in peace, Aaron. And but he was institutionalized, and Frank's lucky he ran into Bob, with his outreach.
Yeah.
All those guys. And luckily they hit the lottery, and now he's going to try to be something else, whatever. I hope he finds his way, but he is completely different from me. I had an awesome childhood, and I never had any police contact until I was about 36 or 37 years old, and I ended up at that bar fight with everybody. I mean, I've been in fights every fucking night of my life since I was about 13 or younger, and never had any police contact until I was about, I think, 36.
Okay.
So your fourth fight is against the king of pancrase from Japan, Frank Shamrock. And and you beat him. Like that, like most people in mixed martial arts at the highest of levels never get to experience that.
Yeah, that was tremendous. It was remarkable.
4 fights, less than 1 year of fighting. You beat the number one guy in the country. My thing is, Igor Zinoviev. All right, you want to argue Frank Shamrock? There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, I mean, it was a pretty close fight, but, I think you got judged right.
Yeah, you wore him down. Towards the end, there was no mistaking whose side was up.
John Perretti, you kind of stay on his radar. What's your opinion of him as a martial artist?
But John likes to kick. So I'm not much of a kicker. But I like John. John had passion, and he's got a pretty good memory.
I think he was ahead of his time as well. Like when you look at the term modern era of mixed martial arts, it's fights like you versus Zinoviev, you versus Kevin Jackson, Zinoviev, Mario Sperry, Miletich, Matt Hume. Those fights are what make the modern era.
Those are great fights.
And they're way ahead of their time.
Yeah, it was I really liked it because it was just going to be a single fight that night, and I could give it 100% and not have to worry about the injury and everything.
So you mentioned Chemo and hanging out with him at the or running into him at the gym.
Yeah.
Did you ever see Joe Sun in those places?
Joe Son crossed my path a couple of times. He was really, I think he told me he just didn't want to work. He was just a guy that didn't want to work. And he wasn't really much of anything. I had him on the mat one time and I choked him, and I was like, this is not, he's like not even a boy. Not even, he doesn't have any strength or anything. It's zero. And he came to the gym one time when I was there after hours and was knocking on the door for something one time. And I don't even really remember what he was there for, but I never saw him again after that. The thing about Joseon is he was a wise guy around town. That's what the reputation was. And he drove around in a van that said shoot fighting on the side of it. And I remember telling my pops that took some balls to have the word fighting on the side of your car driving around downtown Huntington at the time. That's what I remember him.
You call him a wise guy. Was he involved in? It was alleged that he was involved in the drug trade.
I don't know. I mean, there's a place down there called Mazzotti's, a restaurant. I heard he used to go in there and strong arm food from Lenny Mazzotti. That's what I heard.
How was he strong arming anybody?
I don't know. That's why it's so fucking funny. He was like, dude, I'm serious. He's like, he was nothing. Okay. I don't even know how it took Keith Hackney more than 3 seconds to beat him up. Like, dude, he knew he couldn't fight. I mean, it was obvious.
He's such a strange story. Like it's
Austin Powers.
Wow,
but if you think about it, I mean, I don't know. He got convicted of doing something that he was a criminal, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Right. But he created a character that everyone's still talking about. I don't know what kind of a sleazy, I mean, he was sleazy, obviously, and he was a criminal, but he created a character that everyone's still talking about. Who even knows where he's at?
Fought in a thong.
Yep.
It was ridiculous. I mean, when Chemo first walked out, his gig was he was pulling this cross.
Well, here. In his pre-fight interview, John, this is fantastic. He says he travels the world preaching the gospel of Lord Jesus Christ and accepts donations to do that. So it was Joe's son, a whole bunch of people holding up like prayer parables, Chemo carrying a cross. Like it was ridiculous. It
was amazing. So then when Joseon fought Hackney, he tried to pull the same cross and he gassed out halfway to the ring, pulling that cross.
Yep.
I remember watching like that thong fight and just thinking to myself, sometimes you got to accentuate areas and kind of hide other things.
Right.
Yeah, that's not something he should be showing off, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, he's ridiculous. Just forget about Joseon.
Never mind. What about Eddie Ruiz?
Eddie was always cool to me.
that Huntington Beach area had a bunch of tough people, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Dave
Yeah.
Abbott, Dave Abbott's dad told me, he said he's gonna have trouble going to the store to get bread now. Because when everyone's fighting.
And you did, Tank Abbott, obviously out there, Tito Ortiz, yourself, Chemo. In terms of like the beginning times of mixed martial arts, there's a lot of badasses just in one very small area, like arguably, 15 minutes from each other.
Why do you think that was?
Because you're always fighting each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of you guys claim to have tons of street fights too. I mean, I believe it. I mean, there's no reason for me not to.
Well, we didn't really have gangs in Orange County. So, it wasn't like gang fighting. It was like one-on-one fighting if you ever got in a fight.
Yeah, that punk rock scene right around that time as well.
Yeah.
Pretty
That was
wild.
violent.
Yeah, Social Distortion. Even you had Social D, you had come on, dude. Brad from Sublime was out that way. There's a bunch of punk rock bands that came out of
The
there.
Circle Jerks and Dead Kennedys, Bad Brains, and Adolescents, and DI. Richard hung him, so
Yeah. There was a lot going on there in Orange County.
yeah.
Kevin
Yeah,
Jackson. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm just saying. Yeah, Kevin Jackson. He was pretty good.
Well, you had Allan Goes in your corner. How long had you worked out with him?
Oh no, Allan was like, I don't even know what Allan was doing now. I remember now. Where the hell did he come from? No one could really understand what Allan was saying. He'd say push and pull when he meant pull and shit for a long time, So I don't even know how he got involved with that. I was sick as fuck that night too. I started overtraining a lot for my fights and getting a sinus infection like the week before. And that was the first time I overtrained for a fight, where when I was sitting in the locker room, I started getting a fever and didn't realize it until it was like cooking. And I was like, well, fuck it, I'm going to do it anyways. I need the money. So I thought, what are you going to do, lose the fight?
Did you train with Dan Henderson for that fight?
No, Dan came into my gym and tried to sandbag me.
Can you give us the background on that?
I didn't know who Dan was. Yeah. I think I was getting my teeth fixed after I fought Frank, and I ran into Heath. Heath, yeah, Jim's.
Heath Sims, yes.
Yeah. He's yeah, my buddy wants this and that. I'm like, okay. And he came walking in, he sandbagged me. So I got him in the leg. He grabbed me by the neck and guillotined me. I was sitting on my butt, like right off the bat. He just grabbed me and choked me. Like, fucker. So then we did it again, and then I rolled into a knee bar. I got him in a knee bar. That leg lock, I got him in that. And then we saw the tattoo on his ankle with the
Olympic rings.
Like, hey, yeah, then we put it together.
Yeah, Henderson. He had the Henderson headlock, which the jiu-jitsu community then stole and said it's the was it the 10-finger headlock or the 5-finger headlock? Whatever. Yeah.
10-finger guillotine.
The 10-finger guillotine, but it's actually the Henderson headlock.
Is it really?
Dan is very strong. He's a very strong man.
Did you guys just roll that one time, or did you guys continue after that?
No, I never. I mean, I've seen him a couple times, but he don't want nothing to do with me.
Was it personality issues, or was it?
I don't think I'm in that club. You know what I mean?
Like that elite wrestler club.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. He was at Raw. Did you never wanted to go work out with those guys?
No, I was perfectly fine where I was at. What did I end up doing? I broke my leg in Japan, like right after I fought
I
Jackson,
could
right?
no. So you fought Jackson, you lose by arm triangle,
Yeah.
and then you go to Pancrase. So you go to Japan for the
Oh,
first
and I
time.
fought those two guys. Yeah.
Yeah, Kuma Kuniaku.
Yeah.
You received 8 red cards for hair pulling.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, they're like, yeah, you got rules. I'm like, yeah, rules. I'm gonna fight against rules. Are you kidding me? Yeah.
So
Oh,
the
ooh.
so the 8 red cards, does that mean you owe them money after the fight, or did you
No, you
not
still
get paid?
get paid the same. Yeah. I'm like, so wait, if I win or lose, okay, if I get red cards, it's not gonna cost me money. Like John tried to deduct in that Igor fight for that headbutt, they deducted $500 somehow from what they paid me. I was like, wait a minute, we're not even sanctioned or licensed or anything. In Tokyo, you get a red card. It's just a red card. You don't cost
That
nothing.
was Pancrase paying $1,250 back then, or were they paying better when you got there?
I was making in the thousands. I can't remember exactly right now. I wrote it down or whatever. But
Peanuts. It's peanuts. Yeah, nothing.
yeah, but I
Yeah.
was cash. It was cash, and I had a sponsor, so I was stoked. I wasn't, like, it was cool.
All right.
And
So you get 8 red cards in one fight. What's the conversation like with, Maeda, those guys that are running the company? Do they say anything to you about this?
yeah, they say get in the car. We're going to Korean barbecue. That was awesome. And then they had this kid pick me up in a little rocket ship. Go Korean barbecue. They're stoked. They love that shit. Phyllis Lee was screaming at me. She's like, John, you broke the record for the most red cards. She was
Was
having
she
a fit.
was she your manager?
She's my booking agent for Japan.
Okay. Okay.
She was a lovely lady.
Now, you shared this card with Boss Rutan and Guy Metzger. Did you hang out
Yeah.
with them at all?
Yeah, we traveled together. They were cool guys.
Yeah.
Phyllis Lee.
Yeah.
What an interesting woman.
Yeah. She got mistreated, but she was really kind.
Yeah, I mean, we have fighters that say that, yeah, fighters will say anything. Yeah. And you know what, if you're a manager, you're making peanuts as well at this point. You know.
You know, and at the end of the day, you just see what everyone's character is all about in this sport, or whatever you want to call it, anyways. Because she said Ron Waterman was the only guy that never screwed her over. So, as far as I'm concerned, they're all losers, and Ron's probably the best guy out there.
Wow. Yeah, she did say that about Ron Waterman. He's a religious guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he walks the
Yeah, I
walk.
mean, whatever it is, he's badass. He's got good character.
Yeah. Against Osami Shibuya. Yeah, that's October 29th, 1997.
Yeah,
You went in there with a back injury, is what the rumor was.
yeah. I got in trouble for fighting and went to jail because I wouldn't do the community service. And I got out and had like a week. It's a week to get ready to go there. I hurt my back. That's when we started getting growth hormone for Tijuana.
Huh.
It healed me in like 30 minutes.
Humatropin, I think it was called.
The good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they had the real D-ball back in the day, and they stopped making that. So I just had a little bit of that. And then when I had that injury, I was like, yeah, we got to try this. I heard it's gonna, and it repaired my back real fast, like soft tissue. And then
Well, here
yeah,
let's talk about that Tijuana train. Was Todd Medina helping you with it at this point?
Todd Medina.
He's
El
heavily involved.
Tiburon.
Yeah, he's heavily involved with the Tijuana scene.
Yeah, Mr. Community Outreach.
Yep.
Yeah, he's real. I mean, Todd went to school with my wife, and when his senior picture in his yearbook, he weighed 135 pounds. And when I met him, he weighed like 295, almost 300.
Jesus.
I'm like, what the fuck? Who the fuck
Creatine.
is this guy?
Yeah,
And
eats a
Todd said,
spinach.
yeah. Well, he was the biggest dealer in town. I'm like, right? I'm like, fuck. Uh, then like everyone, the whole scene changed, and then my dad was like, hey, can you get Todd a job at the lab where you're working? I got him a job there with everybody. He never even said thanks.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? It turns out, I mean, can't shake that guy. What's he doing now? Helping all this outreach.
He's
Fighting against child trafficking, last I heard.
Yeah, yeah. What's trafficking? He means prostitution?
Probably.
So, I mean, yeah, no, I didn't learn nothing from Todd. Todd vanished. He was at Kenny's before I went to Kenny's, and then like I never trained with him or anything. And after I got him that job or whatever, he vanished. I never saw him.
Did you ever work out with the Carlson Gracie team?
Uh-uh. No, just I would train with Allan Goes.
Sporadically. Yeah.
Whenever we got the itch. Because I mean, Allan, every time you train with him, he tries to kill you.
Yeah.
Like that look in his eye, like he's not fucking around. And that's like what the Carlson Gracie guys were. You're like, Medina and those guys are over there just real ferocious, you know. They make up to compensate for things,
Mm.
basically.
Yeah.
And but Allan was the best Carlson Gracie guy I would think, just because I wrestled with him.
I think he went like 7 years without losing a jiu-jitsu match. He was top
Yeah.
notch.
Yeah, no, he was badass. I think in jiu-jitsu. I mean, you just communicating with him a lot. He's worthless. Can't really hold a conversation with him.
He's much better now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So with Goes, what always surprised me was that, like Joey said, he went 7 years without losing, and then one match he did lose was an absolute by an advantage point in overtime. So like he had this just phenomenal just run of jiu-jitsu, but he was never invited to ADCC. He never did any like the sport grappling tournaments. Like he was just fully focused on MMA. It was very strange.
Yeah. Well, they brought Allan over with Clever Luciano back in 96-ish or 97 maybe. And the guy at Max Muscle got him over here. And I guess Allan didn't like the deal, so they had a breakup. And then he ended up over at LA Boxing, and that went like franchise, and so he always had a place to train. He always had school, like down in Irvine or whatever.
Now, do you also work for for LA Boxing? I remember one of the commentators saying you sold memberships for the gym when you weren't training.
Yeah, when I broke my leg, I ended up hanging out there with the sales guy, and I made him teach me how to be a closer.
Nice.
Yeah, he gave me the rundown, and then I ended up using that. Well, I used the gym to do some underground fights and to like hustle tickets and stuff. And I was teaching some classes there. We had it going on there for a minute, you know, at that club. After like Ken's place, the jiu-jitsu place I was at, the combative fighting system, it closed because he had personal problems. And I ended up I broke my leg, shit fell apart because my corner wasn't really like backing me up. You know what I mean?
Well, here. Let's kind of do a proper segue into this. December 20th, 1997. You're back in Japan. Obviously, they really like you. Ryushi Yanagisawa is your opponent, and it's a pretty brutal ankle break.
Yeah, I had him beat. I changed up and thought I was gonna get fancy with him. But yeah, no one gave me any like. I didn't have a corner. You know, I didn't have any. You know, this guy's a go-kart footlock guy, stuff. You know, like that. Like they're just all, yeah, come back in one piece. I'm like, what the fuck do you mean by that? You know. And so I was out there like on my own, doing all these competitions.
All right, so a few more than one Phyllis Lee contacts and pancreas say that you guys were given corner passes, but she would take them.
Well, I'm saying like,
so you were out there alone, but she was
like I didn't have
corner.
anyone like handling me.
Okay.
You know, it's like they are today. Like they got like, you know, teams. You got a team, like a coach, a trainer, you know, all that shit.
Right.
I didn't have any of that stuff. I was just like, all right, this is what I think I got to do. And I'm fighting guys like Ryushi, and he just got back from 18 months of go-kart. I didn't know anything about that. So I just bulked up, picked him up, slammed him down. I was beating him. His feet are sticking up right there. And I'm like, oh, if I can get him in a footlock. But he defended it, and I defended it like it was a fight. And so I gave him the hold, you know, where I'm training for fighting, and this is a sport fight. And I'm not putting it all like all the variables into the final product, you know. I'm just going out to fight, and I get my leg broken. I'm like, oh fuck, you just snap out of it. Maybe your perception of everything's not really what you think it is, you know.
This guy has a ton of wins by leg lock. He even he won by leg lock against Vernon Tiger White. So I mean, it's definitely his specialty, his legs.
So if someone would have told me that, I would have went.
Yeah, it would have helped.
Because I picked him up and slammed him like he was a little kid and just cracked him right with an open hand. I'm like, oh, this guy's done. I'm like, oh, look at his foot, you know. And he's all greased up and shit, and he's ready for that shit. Because the Japanese, why they're good with the footlocks is because they're usually on their back losing, you know. So they grab your feet, and that was a perfect scenario for him. It was his strength. But my leg snapped, and I was like, I didn't even fucking feel it. But when I realized it broke, I was like, you know.
You informed the referee. Yeah, you informed the referee.
Yeah, I'm like, let's get out of here.
Was it fibia tibia that broke, or was it just
the big one? The big one, tibia, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it shattered in like 8 pieces.
Jesus.
Oh.
Yeah. Like, fuck. I was like, hey, John, how long is it going to take for us to heal? He goes, 8 weeks, it'll be fine. I go, 8 weeks, really? Oh, yeah, don't worry about it.
Did you have surgery?
No.
Wow.
Yeah, I got lucky.
Oh, dude. So you got it casted in Japan?
Well, they put it on a splint, and I came back and got an ortho, just casted it. And
dude,
move it.
You're fighting again less than 6 months later. That's pretty crazy.
Against Suzuki, and he had the same injury. He was coming off the same exact injury. So I was like, all right, fair.
So you, at the time, your wrestling coach was Paul Herrera.
No.
No?
Who told you that?
I got Paul. I just assumed it was Herrera. I didn't catch the last name.
Oh, Paul Hallowen.
Is it Paul Hallowen? I heard a name. Okay. Okay. So that was your
Paul
wrestling
Hallowen was a
coach.
really good wrestler. Yeah, he was a Division
Okay.
One wrestler from. Well, Cholik was from Lock Haven, and I don't remember where Hallowen was from. He was a real big Randy Couture fan too.
Yeah, that was your wrestling coach around that time.
Yeah.
Right around this time in like the California scene, like Tank Abbot's crew, they seem to have kind of a little bit of a breakup, and Tito Ortiz kind of wound up at your front door.
Yeah, what did you hear about that?
I heard that he asked you to make him into a world champion. Like I kind of realized he wasn't going to be there or be of that level with Tank.
Well, have you talked to Tito?
I've never talked to Tito.
You should talk to Tito.
Do you want to open up on that?
No, because I'll go into a long rant about it, and he's just not really worth my breath. That guy's just kind of he's a weenie. You know what I mean?
It's like everywhere he goes. Like Tank said he's a weenie. You say he's a weenie. Guys that he worked out with afterwards say he's a weenie. Yeah, Pedro, or what's his name? Babalu, Eric Apple, say he's a weenie. I mean, it's...
Yeah, they're all weenies. I don't really associate with any of those guys.
Did you ever roll with the Luta Libre guys?
Who's that?
Like Eugenio Tedao?
No.
Any of those cats from Luta
No.
Libre?
I think they flew them on a plane. Yeah, I never met those.
Did you ever get into a fight with Tank Abbott and his crew at one of the LA boxings?
No, well, Paul and Bobby Gamboa.
Paul who?
Paul, that's Paul Herrera was
Okay.
was with Dave and Tito and Eddie. And they used to go around, you know, they're just like me, beating everybody up, you know, getting in fights all the time. And I don't remember what I was talking about with Herrera, but him and Bobby were supposed to fight in an event that I was putting on at the Bren Event Center. And I sold out like, I think it was almost like $500,000 in tickets.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay. Wow. And then like 12 hours before, the commission sends me a thing saying, nope, we got to refund all the money. We're keeping your $8,000 deposit. We're like, oh, okay. Well, I switched all the fights. I did that. You know, whatever, with my finagle some shit. But, you know, because these guys are ratting on me, okay? And they're like, yeah, we'll fight at your fight, but I want $5,000 now. That's what Paul said. I'm like, come on, dude. Like, are you just kind of like sign on the dotted line saying I'm a rat fuck? Like, too? You know what I mean? Like, think I'm fucking brand new? Well, Bobby shows up and he goes, yeah, well, I fight in your show for a couple $100. And he gets in there and I think he fought Chris, I think. And Bobby ran around and did some fucking, tried to look like De La Hoya for a minute there, and then Daniels took him down and fucking twisted him up, and he tapped out real quick. And I'm like, here's your $200. Come and get it, motherfucker. Come and get it. And he was the only guy I ever fucking stiffed, that Bobby Gamboa and that Paul Herrera, because they're rats. And they try to fucking put me together all the time. But that was the only problem we ever had.
So the game was get your training money, get your show money up front, and then hope the show gets canceled. It was Frank Shamrock did that quite a bit.
Yeah.
I'd say Frank Shamrock did that at least 5 or 6 times that I know of.
Call the state?
Why? He would just say he was hurt.
know, I never thought of that.
Yeah, you just go, oh, training expenses. I'm hurt.
Frank did that?
Oh, dude, he did. He ended like 3 promotions in a row doing the same thing over and over again. Yeah. It's the game, dude. I mean, it's the game. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Like, if you're a sucker with a lot of money and somebody with a little experience is going to try to figure out how to part it from you.
Yeah, I'm not saying I haven't been involved in a few scams and finaglings and stuff, but I mean, I guess that's what I didn't really like about anybody in fighting was that's all they're trying to do is just come up on something that doesn't even exist.
All right, so to kind of come full circle, Tank Abbot and his crew, Paul Herrera, Eddie, Ruiz, you have an issue with them at LA Boxing. I had heard you used either a curling bar or a pool cue, and kind of
Well, I think Scott,
settled
my
it.
manager, chased him out of the club with something, probably. The police showed up, but no one got arrested or
Okay.
anything. I mean, Dave's mom's a sheriff,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't know they were all sheriffs and all this bullshit at the time. I mean, it's LA boxing, LA law, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Remember the show?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Razor Rod McCullough still works there.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then
Yeah,
everyone started having a problem with me was because they're all cops. And I'm not a cop. That was the whole deal. And then UFC took it over and they just started fucking big leaguing me and being rude to me. I was like, well, someone's clearly talking shit behind my back with everybody. So I just went into, my own business. I just moved on.
right. Minoru Suzuki is a legend within the Japanese pro wrestling, shoot fighting world. He's your next opponent. Like, dude, you fought some absolute murderers, man.
Yeah, that guy was tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I respected that guy. Him and Takahashi were tough.
What was your thoughts of like the whole Japan mixed martial arts scene?
I thought it was really cool. I was like, in school, I was into World War II. So I got it. I get what they were doing. And I thought it was really fucking cool that they were gonna fly me in to compete against them like that, like at that level.
They were just trying to get some get back on us.
Yeah, well, they like this guy's from Holland. They got Korean guy. They got me, the beach guy or whatever. Then they got uh, Guy Metzger, the guy from Texas, and they're matching us up. And the way they did it was brilliant. Like they'd start you at the bottom and work you up because they wanted to see your skill set. They're really I mean, I think Dana got some of his business plan from those pancrase organizations.
I agree with that. And then at this point, the Japanese fighters were so far ahead of their time. But it seems either we caught up to them or they dropped off in terms of modern day mixed martial arts. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, we're always gonna be genetically like the big brother. They were just those guys, they were getting a lot of training and they had a lot of spirit, like I'm gonna do this even if I win or lose or draw, you know. Kind of like when I'm sick and I'm like, fuck, I'll do it. They're like that. That's what you can expect from the Japanese. And so they were handpicking these guys, the ones that were looking freaky. Like one guy, I think he was like, oh, Ruiz was like over like 6'7", wasn't
Yeah.
he? So and they were pro wrestlers before they started this. the pancrase. So they were like characters, you know? And, you know, it was fun to fight those guys because, like the whole World War II thing, if you didn't really understand what was going on and that the mafia was putting it on, you know, like I didn't really at the time realize a lot of stuff that was going on. But
They also started drug testing at a certain point, and the
they
Japanese
did?
kind of fell off a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Drug testing.
Oh, not in pancrase. I just mean Japanese MMA.
Yeah,
Did they?
JMMA. Yeah. It's true. I agree with that.
Yeah.
You know, Joey, no one really ever talks about that. Like the biggest hit once the drug testing really became serious
Yeah,
was the entire country of Japan.
it's true.
Yeah.
True.
Well, then they're just like 125, 135 or,
Yes.
And they're terrible
Yeah.
at cutting weight. They're also terrible at cutting weight. So they're small, even at small weight classes.
they're just not really like, you know, fighting. Like, I just don't think it's like fighting Joseon. It's like, I don't really look at him as like an equal. Like, all men are not created equal when it comes to fighting.
True.
You know, like we're all created equal, equal rights, but we all have unique skills. Sorry. We all have unique skills that make us a fighter, and DNA has a lot to do with it.
Absolutely.
I mean, it has a lot to do with it. So if you just look at it like that, the science of it, you know, there's not going to be a number one Japanese fighters in the world. No one's going to, no
Not at the
Japanese
heavier
guy's
weight
going to be
classes.
counted.
Yeah,
Huh?
not at the heavier weight classes for sure.
Yeah, it's like all pancrase that I've seen is just little, quick, fast guys, you know, like the lighter weight guys. And that's okay, but you know, that's a lightweight class. Like, I don't know about weight classes, you know. I'm not really like, I'm not interested in weight classes, me personally.
Joe Pardo is your next opponent, and right around this time there was a rumor that John Perretti was trying to get you to fight Chuck Liddell, and you said the only way you would do it is if you got to fight Frank Shamrock again.
Yeah, I really wanted to fight Frank again, you know, because I didn't finish him, and it wasn't on TV, so no one really even knew about it, or at least I thought so in my head. And you know, I had met Chuck, and I thought Chuck was an all right guy, so I wasn't really, and he was tough as hell. So like, whatever they're gonna pay me, like, it wasn't gonna be worth fighting Chuck Liddell, okay? Because Chuck Liddell obviously was as good as Boss Rutan, like at that level at the time.
Yeah.
And
Hell of a
that was
chin.
gonna,
Chuck had a hell of a chin, man.
yeah, Chuck was in the top 10 toughest white guys in the world, if you ask me. Because I saw him fight Pele and got kicked and bounced up right off his ass and ding ding, then knocked him down. I was like, man, that guy's tough. And then he's down in my room with Tito. He's there. Tito brought him in. I'm all Chuck Liddell. That was crazy. But he turned out to be an all right guy. So I was like, I'm not really interested in fighting that guy. I just want to fight Frank and then handle it, you know, just get it done. And that didn't work out. He said that was fighting down, and I didn't really know what he meant at the time, fighting down.
Frank said that?
No, that's what John told me, and he was right. Fighting Frank was fighting down for me.
Because
Chuck
you'd
was
already beat
fighting
him.
up. Yeah. And I didn't have to rematch him. I just, you know, that was my inexperience. Just, yeah, fuck, we'll fight again.
And he
Yeah.
had the UFC belt at the time, so there was something in it for you.
Yeah, Kevin Jackson.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So he did have a title, and I was like, okay. And I was like, man, they're gonna pull some fast thing on me anyways. We're like, oh yeah, it wasn't a title fight, FYI, or some bullshit. I always felt, I mean, they tried to bounce the check to me.
Really?
Okay.
Who did?
UFC?
Yeah. Yeah. I had to make a phone call to get paid on that fight because there was insufficient funds in the bank account.
Oh, shit.
So here, let's set the table. UFC 16 or UFC 17.5, October 16th,
No,
1998.
13.5.
13. Oh shit. Joey.
Yeah,
Sure Dog
like in
has it.
Brazil.
Sure Dog has it as 17.5. 13.5 was the Vegas one, I think, where they did. Anyway, yeah, it's listed on Sure Dog as 17.5 Ultimate Brazil.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
okay, I got a question. So you're in Brazil, and so is Pat Miletich. Is this when you guys kind of got along? Because Americans tend to like cling together when they're surrounded by Brazilians.
No, the only person I remember, Dave was there, Tank Abbot, and Eddie Ruiz was there,
Okay.
and I think Tito came with me.
All right.
Yeah, Tito came with me, and a couple other nut riders. You know, just might as well just gone by myself. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was a rough one too. It was kind of like fighting Jackson. I was exhausted. Breaking my leg and shit takes a lot out of you, like energy wise, you know?
Yeah.
And so you fight a guy like Frank, you do really well, and you're like, fuck, I'll do it again. And every fight's a new fight, whether it's a rematch or whatever. And so, you know, I didn't win the fight. And I was in Sao Paulo, Brazil, which was like the most terrible place in the world. And I get back and go to cash the check, and it's like insufficient funds. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And they're like, oh yeah, we'll fix it right now. And then they put the money in there. I was like, what kind of game was that? So fuck the UFC. I don't give a shit what happens to them. I mean, if you're here to make money and they're doing that bullshit, I thought that was stupid. John handed me a check. I'm like, what's this? He's like, what? It's a check. This is Battlecade. I'm like, we'll see about that. And his check cleared. John's check cleared. So I have respect for John forever.
They had that penthouse money.
Yeah, that Bob
But
Guccione money.
it cleared, you know, whatever, you know, you should have got paid or could have got paid or actually got paid. Doesn't matter. Check cleared. You know what I mean? Where there's all kinds of guys like the Kiev fight, John Dixon fights in the main event against Igor Vochenkin.
Vochenkin.
That's his third fight. Okay, it's his third fight of the night, and fights Igor for like 25 minutes, and his nose explodes at one point, right?
Yeah.
And John's still telling me, I never got that $10,000. They stiffed me.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like how heartbreaking is that? Like, dude, are you kidding me? So shit going on like that. So when John handed me a check, I was like, what's this?
Yeah.
You know?
We'll see.
Yeah.
So
I came.
when we talked to John Perretti about you, there's a little element of respect and like know where there's certain people you can push around. Lober is not one of them. You know, it's one of those types. Oh my God, dude. Yeah, I'm not gonna. I mean, he's a psycho, like absolute certified psycho. Yeah. And I think it's just his way of describing the same thing that the others wanted to say, but we're very careful when choosing their words. Yes.
Psychopath.
Yeah. Actual. like you see like the intensity of them. An actual psycho.
I wish.
It's respect. I mean, it's respect, man. You know, I mean, did you get on a mat with Perretti?
No.
Perretti got on a mat with everybody.
No.
A lot of guys.
Not me.
Well, that might say something right there. He didn't think you could turn it down for him.
Yeah.
You know what? There's some truth to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was very gentle. I was a very gentle training partner.
When at the IFC, Steve Heath fought Phil Ensminger. At the end of that fight,
is that when everyone jumps in the ring?
You were the first person to jump in the ring afterward, actually.
Nonsense.
And attacked Steve Heath after the fight.
He pulled his ass out on me or something. He was rude. He did something rude. I remember, I was ornery. You know.
I had heard that there was issues between Team Machine and the Cesar Gracie team.
I don't know. Absolutely. I mean, it was very inappropriate. Everything that was going on was very inappropriate. Yeah.
What did Steve do to trigger the post-fight brawl?
No, yeah, I think he pulled his ass out or something. Like, or flipped me off or something. He did something. He gestured something like a fighting word or something towards me. I was like, well, we're just going to handle it. Because, I mean, where are we? You know, what are you going to do?
We can't have that.
Yeah, well, Steve absolutely knows who you are. He set you up with Dan Henderson. I wonder where that disrespect came from at this point.
That's not the same guy, is it? That's a different guy.
Oh, no, it's David Heath. Was it David Heath?
Yeah.
Or Heath Sims? Dude, Heath Sims.
Sims is Dan Henderson guy. And,
Heath Sims is. Yeah, dude,
Heath Sims had something with Phil or something.
It's 10:15 here. I'm in Salt Lake City. I am jet lagged like a mother.
Yeah,
I
this is my
apologize.
bedtime, usually.
Yeah, I apologize, man, for keeping you up this late. Yeah, you attacked Steve Heath. Chuck Liddell jumped in there. Yeah, that was wild, dude.
Yeah, I think they still hold a grudge.
It's Stockton, bro. You had a friend, Frenchie, that may have faked his death. You care to open up about that?
Well, yeah, he was. Dude, that guy was ahead of his time.
In the faking his death department?
Yeah, dude. He would yarn about stories all the time, but I never paid attention to him, you know. I thought he was full of shit. So he's in the casket, and he's like, dude, where's the tattoos? I'm like, fuck, all right.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've had a wild career, man. Like you really have. Gary Hughes, another guy you used to train with.
Gary Hughes?
That's what I picked up. I picked it up on some of the old message board posts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I used to train with a lot of Long Beach police guys, police officers.
Did you ever train with Chris Brennan?
Brennan was one of the first guys I worked out with. We had a little boxing. He had a little boxing gym down there, and we grappled around a little bit and wrenched on each other. Yeah, a couple times. And then that's right, because he was at Kenny's. Todd was at Kenny's too, but when I got there, they went somewhere else, and we worked out like a couple times.
Before your Marcelo Dantes fight, did Aaron Brink have to bond you out?
Marcelo Dante?
Extreme Wars 2.
Oh,
the rumor
no.
was that Aaron Brink had to bond you out so you could make weigh-ins. Or
No,
make the fight.
that was the other fight.
That was a fight in Honolulu you're talking about, Mike.
Yeah, Honolulu, I made it there. Dude, that was ridiculous. I think I'm like, I went back to Blaisdell to fight a guy, and once I saw him at the weigh-ins, I'm like, oh, this guy's like, no problem, right? So I had a good night, and then went to the fight, dropped him, and I didn't really. Then he's all, get him. I'm like, yeah, fuck. So I dropped down in his guard. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here? This guy's done already. And he got me an armbar, and I picked him up, and then the ref stopped it, and he jumped off. He's like, yeah, I won. I'm like, wait, all right. Well, you're still paying me the 10,000, right? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay. That was bullshit. Fucking had me fight that guy at like 2 a.m. You know, when he said to
Are we talking about Dantes or a different opponent?
Marcelo.
Yeah, Marcelo Dantes.
It's Tigre, wasn't it Tigre?
Yeah, he's 13-3.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tigre is something else. He never. Well, I mean, he fought me. but who has he fought?
He's got a win over Vernon Tiger White due to a hand injury. He's got a win over, I'm going to say the name wrong, but Tim Lajek.
LASIK.
Lost to Cabbage, beat Joe
Yeah.
Charles, lost to Egan Inouye. He fought some names.
Yeah, he can really punch. Because I remember I uppercut, left hook, and then the right hook came and I missed him. He was already down. Like, oh, he's down. You know?
Do you miss it, John? Do you miss fighting?
Competition? No, I don't miss the competition. You know, but I love a good fist fight. You know? I mean, who doesn't?
Are you still in Orange County?
No.
Man, we're going to be in I work for BKFC. We're going to be in California, I think, first quarter of next year. Man, dude, I honestly, I hope to get lunch with you. You're one of the guys, like, I put you up there with Gerard Gordeau, people that I'm truly interested in, like even Zinoviev, Igor Zinoviev.
Yeah.
You know, there's a group of guys that in the ring, outside of the ring, you know, there's equal parts of interest on my end.
Cool. I mean, yeah, those were pretty good fights, I think, at the time. I think like Igor, Frank, Kevin, and even like Dan was coming up, you know, like me, a handful of guys that were like the next step, you know, from like when Chemo fought Boyce
Right.
until like the time I started fighting Frank, and then everyone started putting it together, you know, and it really took off.
Are you in Southern California?
No.
Oh, okay.
Come on, Joey. Joey, stop it.
I was just saying we got to get him to the BKFC. He might want to jump in the ring. I don't know.
Nah. Yeah, that stuff used to be a huge trigger for me, you know, like just fighting. But now it's just like I'm really not interested in it at all, you know? Like, I mean, self-defense and all that stuff is like pretty much, I don't really think about it anymore,
Right.
you know? Before that was like obsessed, you know, you're obsessed, saturated in it, in the lifestyle, in the community, you know, and the players and the coaches and everything. You know, it evolves because you get to a certain level of exploitation, and then like the next group comes in,
Yeah.
and then I just lose track. It's just all the same shit to me now. It's just they need to come up with like more AI boxing, wrestling, MMA sports. So, I mean, have you seen the power slap thing?
Yes. I wish I hadn't, but I've seen it.
That's ridiculous. Like, why don't you just stick his ball sack in a door jam and shut the door and see what's going to happen?
They're lining up for concussions.
It's the brain damage Olympics.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, Dana pretty much has created a whole generation of fucking brain surgeons, you know?
Yeah.
Everyone just thinking they're fighters. And I think MMA is going to like top out. And
they have already. I mean, if you look at their next that Noche card, I mean, they're saying 3,000 empty seats. That's not true. It's much more than that. Like it's 3,000 seats this far out. It's probably going to sell out, dude. That place will be half full. There'll be tons of comps. You mentioned a couple here. Dana White. You obviously met him before he became Dana White.
No, I never met Dana. Yeah, I never
ever?
met Dana. Oh.
No, Perretti was running it when you were in the UFC.
Tito and Tiki and Rob.
He managed all them.
Yeah, they kept it a secret from me.
Mm.
Yeah, they were putting me together and they were putting him together behind my back.
Did you get along with Tiki?
Tiki, I mean, it's hard to get along with a guy that doesn't really have a personality. You know, like he was kind of a creep, you know? I wasn't a creep, so I didn't get along with him.
Okay. You mentioned Goker. Did you ever go and roll over at Goker's gym?
No, but I respect Goker because, you know, he was at the time, he was one of the best guys, like Gene Labell's guys, you know.
Yeah, Perretti's a black belt under Labell.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, Labell is pretty much the man, you know.
Yep.
Huh.
Yeah.
I- John, I'm just for people that know at home. I've talked to you several times outside of here, and I think the one issue that people might have with you that don't know you is that you're very far ahead, and oftentimes it might take a little bit for people to kind of catch up to your words, and I think it's always been that way for you. Like you see things coming before it happens.
Yeah, and they don't. Everyone's got to learn for themselves. I mean, you can't tell them anything unsolicited. Like anything I got to say that's unsolicited, no one's gonna. It's not gonna register. It's not gonna inspire anything in them, unless they come to you and they're like, "Hey, what do you think about this and that?" But they're not thinking about that shit. They're 5 moves back, get knocked out.
I think your ability to kind of pick up on predatory behavior before it happens is incredibly advanced, which really helped you in the fight game.
Yeah, I mean, I can just. It's like the way people walk and stuff. You can just pretty much tell a lot about them. And then when you fight them, you can tell everything about them.
Do you respect Frank Shamrock?
What is there to respect?
I mean, you guys shared the ring twice.
Yeah, he was very ungrateful. Frank's a very ungrateful guy.
I think that's fair. Joey, this guy right here, one of the harder interviews we've ever landed.
Yes, we've been talking about it for the 2 years I've been involved in the podcast.
2 years we've been fucking talking about you, dude.
Giving shout outs. Where is Lober? How can we get a hold of him?
Hey, I tell you, you and Harold Howard.
Yep.
We finally got you. We just got to get Harold Howard now.
Yeah, that one might be tough.
I mean, it wasn't like an amazing interview. I mean, just me.
No, dude, it's history. It's history, brother.
Just getting
it's
your
phenomenal.
perspective, on 90s MMA. That was worth my time.
100%.
Yeah, 90s MMA was pretty wild.
Yes, it was.
Here. Did you ever see people like trade cocaine at shows like back in the 90s? Was there because I know I saw it in the early 2000s, lots of like heavy drug trade behind the scenes in order to either help shows get pulled off, pay fighters, stuff like that?
I think drugs are involved in every single thing that's going on.
I mean, you saw it in Ukraine, I'm assuming.
Everything is drugs and sex and money.
Yeah.
Everywhere you go, that's all it is.
And dude, John Lober's the motherfucking man. That's all I got to say. Joey, take us out.
Thank you for your time, man. I met you once in the 90s. I was hanging out with Larry Landless at a show. It might have been a Neutral Grounds. It was right after the Frank Shamrock fight. I met you one time, but ever since then, man, I've been wanting to catch up, and I really appreciate your time. So thank you.
That's cool. You got a really familiar look too. I thought I'd seen you somewhere.
Yeah,
before.
Larry Landless was my first coach, and he kind of took me to a lot of shows because he had the VIP card as an early ref. So yeah, I met you a long time ago, man. Good to see you again.
Thanks,
John. I'm gonna keep in touch with you, dude. I really enjoy the conversations we have, and I appreciate your time tonight, man. Thank you, sir.
All right, thanks. You guys have a good night.
You too. Good night. Take care. We just concluded our John Lober interview. These two have not heard it, but they were a pretty good source of information in regards to John Lober and his dealings back in the day. One of the more prolific referees in the business, Kevin McDonald. Welcome, Kevin.
Hey,
and
thanks.
Friend of the show, John Perretti. Both of you guys have dealt with John Lober on multiple different levels. John Perretti, your first impression of Mr. Lober?
I think I was in Huntington Beach, but I think he was like deadlifting 600 pounds. not that deadlifting isn't athletic exercise, because it's not in real time, right? When I trained Tom McGee, two-time world's strongest man, his deadlift record, which I don't remember, but it still holds, I think, as the world record. Took him like 2.5 minutes to do. So yeah, it's not a real time, it's not Olympic lifting, right? It's not in real time. But 600 pounds is prodigious, and John Lober was very strong, and obviously Jack. But John's, I mean, I have some really great John Lober stories that no one's ever heard of.
No, yeah,
But-
let's go. Let's hear it.
But John Lober was a presence, right? He had that Huntington Beach thing, like if you took Tank Abbot's arrogance and removed 200 pounds of it, you know, you'd have that kind of like, you know, that kind of like prolific name calling kind of presence that Lober had, you know, and Tank Abbot had, obviously.
So they had a kind of leaning into a fight type attitude.
Yeah, and racist, and you know, well, you know, all that, you know, kind of stuff. And that presence, you know, like, you know, we're not talking about Tank Abbott, but we're talking about John Lober. But anyway, so I loved his attitude towards Frank Shamrock. I loved, you know, all that stuff, you know, and I love that Lober was strong. And I mean strong, like, you know, Zinoviev said he was the strongest guy he had ever gone up against. Of course, he had a really badly dislocated shoulder going into that.
For sure. So Kevin, what about you? What was your first impression of John?
So my first impression, I had been training with Eve Edwards down in Houston, and he fought Fabiano Iha, and then Fabiano recommended.
So did I.
And he recommended him into West Coast NHB championships that Lober was putting on. So Eve went out and did that. And then I think that was when he fought Thomas Denny. And when he came back, he was just telling me about how wild it was, because we were down in Texas back in the open hand days. And so it was like, oh man, like out in Cali, they had a cage and you could bare knuckle if you want, closed fist, elbows, the whole 9 yards. So he ends up saying, hey, Lober's interested in having you fight. So long story short, we end up heading out there, and it was like a Sunday afternoon show. The first time I met John, intimidating, intense presence, but very cool at the same time. And he was putting on this event. It was probably like a 12-foot boxing ring, if that, and old school rules. I was out there in, like, you know, boat shoes and khaki shorts. They're like, yeah, this is for the fighters. I'm like, no, I'm fighting on the card. And John had I'm pretty sure he had like a throne and like a smaller throne set up with his girl sitting next to him right outside the ring. And it was a pretty wild event. Second time I saw him, he was actually a referee for a fight I had in South Texas.
That's scary. No, that whole notion that's frightening right now.
That event went pretty haywire as well. So
Now, Kevin, how old are you?
I just turned 50 a week ago.
And you're in Texas?
I live in Boston right now, but I had been living in Texas going to embalming school because my family was in the funeral business.
So let me tell you a story. So I'm in Japan, and I'm there because I'm at that time I think I'm looking at fighters, but I don't remember if, you know, I was in Japan with Zinoviev and Lewis, or it was thereafter or day before, because I've been there so much, and having obviously moved to Texas from Japan now. So I'm in the ring, and Lober is fighting this Japanese guy, and Lober and I'm ringside, literally like second tier ringside watching. And this fight is happening, and John Lober, he gets him in a reverse heel hook, and the Japanese guy, and gets John Lober, and John Lober's obviously not going to tap, and it pops, right? And his foot goes backwards. He breaks his tibia and his fibula, right? And it spins the foot. Now, the guy, the fighter, doesn't know what to do. He's like, eh. And the referee has no idea what he's looking at. The fight's still going on, as referees do. No offense. But the way they stare at shit, posing and not comprehending what was happening in front of them is prevalent in the sport. So I jumped over the ring, over the ropes and into it to stop this fucking thing because the foot is on backwards in a figure four. And this is on film somewhere, by the way. And John wants to keep fighting like he could still get him, right? And no, it's true. And I take John with me. I take myself with him to the hospital because they weren't even going to do anything because it's Japan, right? Basically, we're just gaijin. We're just, yeah. We're not Japanese. So anyway, so I go to the hospital with him. He's pissed off at me for stopping the fight, right? Because he could have still won, he thinks, right? And he's got, and have you ever broken your tibia?
Haven't personally, but I've been right there for a few.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, but breaking your tibia and your fibula at the same time is a dynamic experience, right? So, I mean, the message to your brain is very direct, right? So when things like that happen, right? So John Lober, first of all, is tolerating this level of pain, right? And they cast him and they straighten his foot out and they cast him and his pain, and my pain tolerance is huge, but his pain tolerance was so overwhelming. I was impressed, like, for the rest of my life still, that with two things, with the ignorance of the refereeing and to the pain tolerance of John Lober. But that's how disconnected Mr. Lober is in terms of his body. So when you see somebody like Lober get guillotined, even on the bad arm, and then good morning Igor Zinoviev up and suplexing him, you know, you have to realize that there's an intensity to that man that's probably makes like Dan Henderson look like a girl.
Wow. I will tell you a side
in
note.
my professional opinion.
I will tell you a side note to that story. I heard his pain meds got stolen from him and he never took any to the duration of the issues with that leg.
I did not see them give him pain medicine because it's Japan and pain medicine is illegal in Japan. So that story is a little skewed, but he took nothing.
Wow.
Kev, did you ever kind of witness the toughness of John Lober?
So, yes. As far as that night, after I had fought for him, you know, at first when I fought for him, it was supposed to be just a one-off fight on that West Coast NHB. Fought Bobby Gamboa, and you know, we had kind of boring fight, but I ended up coming out on top. But he cut me pretty good. I needed to get stitches, and then John had been having a 4-man tournament for the belt, and he comes over and he's like, "Hey, I had a guy not show up. I'm gonna have you jump in." I'm like, "John, I gotta get stitches." He's like, "No, you'll be fine, man. You're good." And then everybody slapped me on the back like, "Hey, good luck." And it was supposed to fight Tiki Goshen, who's full head taller than me, and I was like, "Yeah, this isn't gonna happen." But here we are, and everyone's wishing me luck, and John's like, "You're doing it." And thank God somebody called the law enforcement and they came in to raid this illegal fighting event, which
Was it you? Was it
Got
you
the
that
crowd to
called?
disperse. You know, it wasn't me. No cell phones back then.
Yeah.
But no, and he was very cool about it. So cut to a few months later, I get a last minute call to fight down in a border town in Texas. And John Lober and Tito are the referees. I literally get called that day, jump in the car, drive about 4 hours down. And I don't even know who my opponent is until the walk-in. And we trade a couple of times. It's all right. And the kid jumps a triangle and he's got me. And as I go to tap, I'm in a triangle. And I just all of a sudden see John Lober as the referee. His face just comes into the picture and he's looking right at me. And he just says, "Don't be a pussy, Kevin." And as a referee,
No, that's really important. You know, I've done questionable things as a referee in the Voss Rutan Invitational. So I understand, but that's very telling, you know?
yeah.
You know, it's so telling. It's a beautiful story. And
so
it
just
makes
to
perfect
continue,
sense.
just to continue on with that evening. So I end up trying to throw a few more shots, you know, but he's got me. The tunnel's closing. So I tap. I mean, I fought, but I'm not a tough fighter. And so later on in the evening, Shannon Rich was fighting. I believe it was one of Marco's guys.
Shannon Rich. So was this, excuse me, I'm sorry. Now you mentioned Shannon Rich. So Kevin, were these works or these were real fights?
These were real fights that evening.
Okay.
And it was also the fight card where Aaron Riley fought Tony Torres Aponte at, 16 years old or something. But anyways, from what I remember, Shannon fights I think it was one of Marco's guys, and he loses pretty quickly. And then as the fight's over, John Lober was refereeing. It appears Shannon runs across the ring and tries to throw another strike or something like that. And without missing a beat or seeing a heartbeat raise at all, John Lober just throws his arm out straight, wraps up Shannon in a rear naked choke, and just rests him right down, stands up, walks away.
Very
And the crowd
Labellian.
was like, whoa!
Very Labellian.
The good old days of South Texas MMA,
Great story.
I think you had the footage of that, didn't you, Mike?
I did. I think I sent you the footage. That's one of those instances where the referee goes viral, but there was no machine back then to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's everybody I talk to, they choose their words carefully when describing him. Like there was like 4 other people that are like, no, don't say you talk to me. In fact, you two are really the only 2 that said, yeah, dude. John Lober's a good dude. Connect me with him, or this, that, the other thing. Everybody else is like, they were afraid of him.
When John was writing his book, I used to talk to him at least weekly. And we talked about a lot of things, about other things he wanted to write and so on and so forth. We always had a good relationship, and then he disappeared. In fact, I think I mentioned to you, Mike, did he get incarcerated again? Because and then I checked on that unofficially, of course, and he hadn't. And then I got Ken Gabrielson. You know him, Kevin?
Yeah.
No.
That was his jiu-jitsu guy who should have been a black belt with, I guess, whoever he was indoctrinated with. But he should have been a black belt, one of the 30 dozen ridiculousness in the United States. So Ken Gabrielson was Lober's brown guy.
I mean,
Southern California.
One thing I'll say is, especially back in that time, as anyone from back in the day knows, like traveling out there from Houston, and it's like John, and again, these were the days before we didn't even have cell phones or anything. It was all just based on a phone call from a hard line, and the fight was what it was. He paid me what he said he was going to pay me, like the hotel room, like everything was great. And years later, when I was trying to track down the footage, you know, I had asked him, and, you know, if you ask me to put something in the mail, it's an extremely difficult task for me just to actually, you know, I can send you, but as far as actually doing it, it's a big task. And he was like, yeah, of course, Kev, no problem. Less than a week, package showed up. There was a DVD copy. And I thought that was so cool, because it's so easy. Could have just been like, yeah, I'll get around to it. But he said he was going to do it, did it. And I think that speaks quite a bit.
Oh, his character. Yeah.
So I had my next fight with Lober was Braga.
With Wander Braga?
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I like all those guys. Eugenio Tadao, or even Ebenezer Braga or Wander Braga.
The one that choked out Horn.
Oh, I think that was Ebenezer. Ebenezer. He's actually.
I was really impressed.
He's living in Fort Lauderdale now.
Really, I was really impressed with his handling of Horn, but I knew that he couldn't do that with Lober, and I thought that would really show people the reality of, you know, escaping from guillotine, blah 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 blah. You know, that reality that was so important to understand, that the Greco-Roman guys didn't dominate the stand-up like it was said, you know, like Pederneiras jumping to guard to fight, you know, the contenders. You know, I mean, standing up with a guy like Braga was, you know, that was important to understand, that he could take somebody like Horn out, you know.
Yeah. He took oh my God, come on, early Hammer House guy, fought the cop from Boston, Brandon Lee Hinkle.
Oh, right, I remember him.
Also fought Ebenezer Braga. In fact, Ebenezer Braga's agreed to an interview, doesn't speak English. The only app I can use to like do real-time translation is like $950 per 10 hours. So kind of took him off the board. But ladies and gentlemen, that was John Lober's interview. Candid, a guy that's definitely trying to go out of his way to stay out of the spotlight. Kevin McDonald, always a pleasure, sir. I look forward to our phone calls. John Perretti, I'm sure I'll be in touch with you throughout the week. Thank you, guys.
Check out the full interview on iTunes, Spotify, and all major podcast platforms.